Okay, so welcome to Making It Happen. My name is Tom Dalton. I'm delighted to say we're on episode number 48. We're nearly at the 50 mark here. We're keep on rolling. And I am so happy to be back in person recording a podcast, which is fantastic. So we're actually in a really cool studio and face-to-face because Zoom seems to be my middle name for the last while with everything going on COVID. So I'm delighted to say episode number 48. We're going to get straight into it. So this week's guest is Sean Bryan. Sean Bryan, if you do not know, is the founder of Cut Sew, has built a business from a chair in a basement of a record shop to 3 stores in Dublin city centre. 4. He's pointing out 4 at me. Get it right, Tom. I love it. I love it. Getting corrected already. We're going to have some fun. I know this is going to be good. And he isn't finished yet. He now has 4 locations, education business and a clothing brand. And I'd say there's much, much more I haven't even covered. Sean, welcome.
Hey Tom, thank you very much for a good introduction.
Good, not great.
Minus the correction.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sean, as we do with most of our guests, if we go back to childhood and growing up, talk to us a little bit about that, and I suppose that journey into wanting to do your own thing and set up your own business.
Humble beginnings, I suppose, from childhood. Moved around quite a lot. I'm from South County Dublin. I'm not too sure if it's Dunleary or Blackrock, but I'll say more Dunleary. Moved around loads as a child, and moved maybe 8 times up until I was about 12. And then a big jump, my mum met a gentleman and we moved over to England, which was totally flipped the script of me wanting to, go to certain schools and all my friends. So a big change in my life up until I turned about 12, 13. Moved to England. Then my first kind of dream, I suppose, was to maybe play for Man United. That was a big thing for me. And then 2 years later, we flipped the script and moved back to Ireland. And that's kind of where I grew up and kind of what got me back to Ireland at about 15. So that's kind of just my rough childhood beginnings,
And was education a big part, or were you good in school, or what was?
So I was a little bit of a joker in school, I didn't really like male authority. I think that's what I was told. I went to secondary school and I started doing woodwork technical drawing, and woodwork and technical drawing, and I found myself really enjoying woodwork. And then when I kind of realised I wasn't going to be a professional footballer and play for Man United, woodwork kind of seemed to be my first interest outside of school. So a cousin of mine is a carpenter and a very successful builder now. I could see myself leaving school after the junior cert. So I tried to nag my mum, convince her that, look, this isn't for me. Got into a little bit of trouble, was a bit rebellious, but quite intelligent. I was in the top class. And then I left school after many rows with my mum, and I pursued my first I worked since I was 13 as a lounge boy in between. That's very important, I think, for my journey. So I really enjoyed working on the social aspect of being a lounge boy, the crack, which I don't even think it's legal now to be emptying ashtrays at 13 and cleaning glasses. And then I got an apprenticeship with my cousin. So I think I was 16 at the time. And my first job outside of school was an apprentice carpenter. But that was my first thing outside of school. But school wasn't that important to me. I think it was more just social for me. I just loved the social buzz, making friends, teenage discos, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you were one of my first jobs in a pub as well. And it was, as you say, doing the glasses, cleaning the ashtrays when ashtrays were things in a pub. And for me, the personality and the characters you're meeting, whether you're working with them or it's people of the public. And I actually moved into retail after that, but I think it's a great experience and there's learnings in that. So when you say woodwork, was it the love of using your hands, if we see the transition to the barbershop, or?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it was, I liked seeing the not instant gratification. That comes on to the barbering side of things and hairdressing. I think maybe I did like working my hands. I wasn't too, even though I was kind of intelligent in school, I just didn't see a future for me in college or even going back to transition year. The school tried to make me stay in transition year because of the joking and the rebellious side to me. And I was like, no, I just couldn't see that. And I don't know, maybe seeing something in front of me, so I'm quite visual. That's kind of maybe where that comes from. And yeah, I suppose I could do it myself at my own pace. And I think my mum used to watch Grand Designs, if that was on back then. I don't know if that came later. But I just wanted to be my dream, I suppose. At that age, it's funny. I'm very visual. I didn't have mood boards, but I wanted to always build my own house. I just loved seeing. It's a really weird thing, like the stud walls in the houses and how it was done. I was probably fascinated. I don't think I watched Bob the Builder or anything like that, but I was just fascinated maybe with being able to put something together pre-IKEA. You know, I can't stand IKEA flat packs. And that was my first thing. So woodwork and technical drawing. So I thought I could become a builder, foreman, and that was kind of my first thing.
And talk to us about, so you did your apprenticeship? Did you
qualify? No, so crazy story. 2 years working for my cousin, and quite a common thing then was people weren't actually getting the full apprenticeship. So I wasn't registered with FOSS at the time. My cousin was basically not screwing me over. He was a young lad. He just didn't get around, the polite thing to say is he didn't get around to register me, and that led me then to leaving him after 2 years. And I think it was kind of recession time, so I didn't know what to do. I was 18. I'd always worked since I was 13, even that was just weekend work, and I was kind of a little bit let down. So I didn't know what to do. Construction was post Celtic Tiger, or just the start of the recession. So crazy time, scary time as a young guy, not knowing what to. I was only getting paid 250 quid, I think, a week, and handed up money at home, of course. But then to get down to nothing, I kind of had a few odd jobs, if I remember correctly. Worked in a bakery, sold newspapers on the street. Like, I always was kind of a hard worker, and I get that from my mum and dad. And then kind of how the hair journey started, I was always kind of into my hair and looks. David Beckham, if we go back, was kind of the man at the moment. And I was going to a hair salon in Blackrock called Tony and Guy, which was, again, way above my pay grade for a haircut. But, you know, instead of going to John's barber shop, I was going to Tony and Guy. And it's a weird thing when you don't know that you're getting a bad haircut, and then you get a good haircut, you realise how much of a bad haircut I was getting for years. And I really liked the atmosphere of the salon, and I got to know the girls and guys in there. And they were like, sure, why don't you get a job here? You're buzzy, you're quite chatty. And I goes, well, I've no idea how to cut hair. But like, can you make tea and coffee? I was like, yeah. And then like, can you sweep the floors? Yeah. And then
it's like the first Irish question on a CV, isn't it? Can you make tea or coffee?
And this is it. And it was booming back then, because apparently I think hair and makeup, or hairdressers or salons, and you know, the sales of makeup is recession proof, because a lot of people, the price point is quite low depending on where you go. So it's always a safe industry to get into. And that stuck in my head to be like, well, they offered me an apprenticeship based off my personality. And that's kind of stuck with me. It wasn't skill set based. And after being using my hands for 2 years as an apprentice carpenter, it was such a change. You know, it was so weird to be going from messy building sites to wearing Snickers, to going in and having to have the eyebrows and hair slicked back. So it was such an exciting time, and I had such a great time doing it. And yeah, I did 4 years in Tony and Guy and qualified as a hairdresser. So that's kind of the story up until that point. So I don't know, I was in my early 20s.
I just want to pick up one thing you said. You talk about the different opportunities coming your way, and your parents putting, I suppose, a hard work ethic. Just talk to us a little bit about that. What was your experience of that?
Well, so my mum is a warrior. She has worked all her life since she left school. I am the eldest, and obviously her favourite, of 6 boys. So she's had her hands full. She went from 1 to then having twins, which was from 1 to 3 kids. It's probably a bit of a shock. And we never felt like we wanted for anything. And then my dad is a soldier in the army. He's retiring actually pretty much this month. So he's done 43 years service, which is a credit to him. And my mum had part-time jobs as well as raising kids, and then my dad always had 2 and 3 jobs. And it's funny that he sees me now working like a maniac, and he gets a buzz out of seeing me, because I remember him, you know, when he would, you know, pick me up on the weekends, and he would, you know, spend the day with me. Then he'd go work at night. He did security in nightclubs and restaurants and Eddie Rockets and all these places. Then he worked in the army cooking, and then he would work in an outside kitchen as well, evening time. So I see my mum and dad just being busy and hard workers, and very humble people. You know, my dad is from Monkstown, and then my mum is from Dunleary. So, you know, they're good local hard working people.
Well, absolutely. And it's funny, my parents are both from, I grew up in Dean's Grange. Both my parents are from Sallynoggin, so the borough of Dunleary know well. So it's such a small world.
The borough, I know.
Yeah. It's great. I always think it's great just to get an aspect of people's background. So Tony and Guy, you took it. Did you love every moment? Or, like, I suppose the thing I'd love to get at is when you went in and took on that apprenticeship, and were you visualising, I can have my own business here? Was barbering as big as it is now, or what people see, or just what was that like?
So the interesting question, because no, like as I said, I left school. The plan wasn't to become a hairdresser. The plan wasn't to become a barber. I think organically it happened because my skill set and my training set in Tony and Guy was more looking after people, and the education I got was second to none. It was actually about looking after people. It wasn't about the medium of cutting hair or colouring hair. So I was able to talk to John, the local builder, and then Mary, the 70-year-old rich nanny, you know, from Dalkey. So I was opened up to such a broad spectrum of people that I was like, oh, it doesn't actually matter where you're from or what age you are or where you come from, if you're honest. And that made me feel like, I don't know, not that I could do my own business. I really liked the buzz in there, but it was too busy. It was pandemonium. It was like 40 staff, 2 floors.
Wow.
And with having 5 younger brothers, so my brother started saying, can you cut my hair? And that was like, okay. And I enjoyed maybe doing more of the gents' haircuts because maybe they were easier than doing the ladies' haircuts and colours, which is actually quite difficult. And then friends of mine, there was no cool barbershops.
Yeah.
There was no Instagram. I think Facebook and MySpace were probably on the prowl. It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
And then a lot more gents in Tony and Guy in the shop would kind of say to me, oh, I like your style, or who cuts your hair, and so on. And then the phone started to text, can you cut my hair? And literally the humble beginnings of, yeah, well, if you want to knock up to my house and unfortunately wreck my mum's head, I'd go into the kitchen, take the mirror off the hallway, put it up against the kitchen counter, and then give people haircuts in the kitchen. There'd be hair all over the place. My mum would kill me. But then my little brother started to see it, and it just blossomed into me then just kind of, oh, I actually kind of like doing gents haircuts. It was kind of cool, and I'm a big movie fan, so certain movies and TV shows would influence me to want to do that hair. Music at the time for me was quite big. I was a bit of an indie kid for a very small period. But I would use like Liam Gallagher and all these certain indie bands at the time as references, and that maybe gave me an inkling of I was making money outside of work, like a side hustle, nixering.
Nice little nixer, yeah.
A nixer, and I really enjoyed it. So, and it was it was instant gratification. It was when I did the haircut and I showed them the back in the mirror, they were like, oh, that's really cool. So I kind of really enjoyed giving somebody a nice haircut and them saying thank you and then getting paid for it. And then working for somebody for 40.
Cash is king as well.
Yeah, Johnny Cash is king. And then, I don't know, I really loved my 2 bosses, were amazing. And I was looked after so well that I found I worked really hard for them because they looked after me. And then then through kind of doing that kind of maybe sparked the interest in me wanting to open up my own space. But didn't know how to do it, didn't study business. So organically we got there from going into a record shop in Temple Bar. And then I kind of, again with my personality, got to know the owner, and he was like, sure, I have a spare space in the basement. Why don't you maybe do a pop-up shop, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's brings us up to kind of maybe 9-10 years ago, just as Cut and Sew started.
And like, Sean, that's obviously a big jump. Like, if you're making a bit of cash on the side, you have a good job in a very reputable band at 40 staff, and it's doing really well. Like, so there had to be was there a bit of trepidation on, will I do a pop-up or...
So I think I did it on my days off. So it's funny that when I think back now, and I have a very nice life. I still work hard, but I don't have to work 5-6 days a week breaking my back, which I still do, but in different ways. I gave it a go on Saturdays. I actually had so my first thing was I seen an ad, funnily enough, in Westwood Gym in Leopardstown. Barber needed for the changing room of the gents, which is so weird. So I went up and I gave it a go. Every Saturday for about 4 Saturdays. I think I did 6 haircuts, and then I was just in the jacuzzi most of the time or using the gym because nobody wanted a haircut. But there was just a chair in the changing room, and shout out Westwood, I actually am a member there now of the one in town. But no, it was a massive failure, and I remember just like printing out like Sean the Barber, it wasn't Cut and Sew, on these little A4 pieces of paper. I did it on Word, probably spelling mistakes in it because I'm not that sharp on that side of things. And then I was kind of crushed with that because it was my day off. I was giving up Saturdays and I was working Monday to Friday in the salon. But then a friend of mine, Joshua Gordon, who's a pretty renowned photographer, filmmaker, he did a pop-up shop in the basement of the record shop. And I was like, he could visualize it. I actually couldn't, because it was a building site and it was a storeroom. There was just bikes in it and old spray paint and records. And when he cleared it out and put money into it and did clothing, it was called, can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called Fucking Filthy, the clothing brand.
Yeah.
And I kind of then could see it. So it took my friend Josh to maybe be a bit bolder and open the space. And then when he left up his pop-up shop, I was like, can I put a mirror in here and chairs? Temple Bar on Crow Street, the mecca of Dublin and all. It was pretty cool, but it was in a basement. There was no signs. So I did it, and I don't even know if I did Facebook. I think I just told multiple people I'm going to be cutting Jen's haircuts on Saturday. And then through having a couple of contacts in hairdressing, I had clients that would text me and really like me. A couple of older ladies, and this is a record shop that plays everything from the Bee Gees to like deep techno.
Yeah.
So you'd have to walk in, there'd be mad music playing, and you'd make your way down to the basin where I would be cutting. And there's a picture that's on my Instagram. And when you see the picture, I can't believe I even did it. You know, there was spray paint boxes all over the room. I kind of whitewashed one wall, nailed the famous mirror from my mum's hallway to the wall there, and just had a kitchen chair and like a box with the most basic, like a scissors, a comb, a mirror, and a water spray.
But Sean, like, I need to stop you on that for a sec. That's hustle and grind at its best. And I think anyone listening to this podcast or watching this back is like, sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get out and do it.
Totally.
Like, I started my business with a gym bag at the boot of my car doing fitness classes, and I kind of fell into corporate wellness.
Right.
Like, so I think there's just massive value in highlighting that. Like, and I'm sure
Brilliant.
people see your journey now where Cut and Sew is, and they're like, he's got everything, it's perfect, it's this, that, but like, there's huge power in that story for me.
No, I appreciate that, and I forget it because I couldn't see anything different. When I remember the most motivational thing I could say is when I made the first €20 from that haircut outside, when somebody made the effort to come into a space, that sparked something in me that I was like, oh, I literally remember getting the €20 from the first person. I wish I knew who it was in that Saturday pop-up the very first day, and I was like, wow. I haven't really had many kicks since then. There's obviously moments when you open a new store or your first time experiencing something new. And then I was like, this is going to work. But then it was kind of rocky for a few Saturdays. And it came to a point where I was just so hungry. I think back to how much of a mate. I think I was 26. So it's 9 years ago. So 25, 26. I did have a girlfriend. I had the other job. And I used to then, so how I used to DJ as well. So my love for music and then graffiti and that kind of street kind of style was kind of my DNA. So I don't know that. So rewind back slowly. So I got into a little bit of trouble years ago doing graffiti, and I didn't hurt anybody. I used to just, instead of going out and partying on the weekends, I would just get a bag of spray paint and walk the train tracks of South Dublin and all over Dublin. But I got caught I got into a little bit of trouble, I could say, and I learned a lot from that because I actually got convicted to a suspended sentence, so it was pretty serious. Made the New York Times.
Wow.
It really scared me, like going to the High Court. The reason I did it was I liked the notoriety, so I had like a nom de plume or a tag which was Konk, K-O-N-K, and it was criminal damage, so it wasn't cool, but you know, that was just my upbringing. I liked, you know, movie like Style Wars and Wild Style. But I loved going out and kind of like making, like putting a piece of art or graffiti. It wasn't really art, it was vandalism, but in certain places and kind of getting the notoriety from that community. Okay. So when people were coming to me for a haircut, I felt like that was kind of my self-promotion. And then I kind of came up with the name Cut and Sew because I kind of wanted to have, I couldn't illegally do anything. So I kind of wanted to create a brand or have a space that, you know, you could see my sign. And when I look at like McDonald's or Esso or these big huge companies, all like they're kind of, is it corporate branding or like they're kind of not graffitiing, but they're interrupting, I suppose, my day when I'm driving all over Dublin. And I love Banksy, so I like his kind of cheeky take on it, you know, where he's kind of, no one still knows who he is, but you're seeing his brand. So now when I look at Cut and Sew, I kind of like, that's why I want to create a cool brand and cool locations where you can see that and be part of it legally and get paid for it.
And Sean, like, that's, to me, that's a challenging thing because I'm sure it could have been very easy to go in Sean's barbershop.
Yeah.
And like, you're talking about creating a brand, creating an experience. I know even before I even met you, I was like, the brand is cool, the logo's done correctly, the finishes of the stores is at a certain level, and I know it's something we're going to get into because it's continuous. But I suppose, talk to us about pop-up to when it became full-time and how that happened.
Okay, so after a couple of months of, I think it was about 4 months, so I'm going to say it was probably 6 months of figuring out where I was at. And then the owner of the record shop at the time, he was pretty cool. He was like, look, you need to kind of register the business. And I was, okay, cool. You need to have X, Y, and Z. You need an accountant. And you need to just take more records of it. It was very much like a Nixer-based thing, Saturdays. So in April then, pretty much 2013, which is now 9 years ago, we registered the company, got an accountant, and he actually did help me quite a lot because it was he's seen.
Sounds like a bit of a mentor, like
bit of a mentor. We're no longer talking, which is usually a lot of the cases in a lot of business relationships. But I'm very thankful for the start I got. But I got that from being myself and using, my skill set, and I'm a pretty sound guy if you get to know me. So he obviously could see, this guy can take this space every Saturday or Sunday or full time, and he could see obviously the growth in the business in the 6 months. And then I put, every time I, made some money, I would upgrade the chair. I think I gave my mum the mirror back, probably not. But, I got a nice chair. And I remember the hustle of, there was just it was so bulletproof mindset and, tunnel vision that I would upgrade every time. I didn't think of any holidays. I worked 6 days a week. I DJ'd 2 or 3 nights a week to get extra cash, and I put it all into this little tiny dream, and it didn't matter where it was. It was in the basement. There wasn't even a sign outside. There wasn't a sandwich board. So it was all word of mouth. And I think 9 years in business now, that's still the best way to get business, I think. And then, as it went on, it got to a certain stage where I think it was a year in, and the owner was like, look, there's a space in the upstairs of the shop. We're going to upgrade it. He invested in the space, and I was like, no problem. And then roll on 12 months, I was fully booked. I think I just set up
Not
Instagram.
just a Saturday.
Not just a Saturday.
Okay.
So in about 12 months, I had to take the leap of, do I leave? And I think Rob Lipsett said, when your side hustle becomes more than your main full-time job, it's kind of time to leave. So I think I was like, I could see the Saturdays getting fully booked. So there was a little bit of a fear factor. But I was like, you know what? If I'm making 200 quid on a Saturday, I feel like I could make that every day and make more money than I did in my job. So I try and tell people that story because that's how it worked for me. Couple of days, there'd be 2 or 3 people, lots of weird, scary moments. Well, fast forward to when I'm upstairs, you're sitting there a lot of the time. I didn't know anything about business. It was just good service, good reputation, really good with people skills, and doing the best to my ability. And then another light bulb moment, I was like, I need another chair because I got so busy, and I was only doing Tuesday to Saturday then in the barber shop. I needed Sunday, Monday off because I was just exhausted, and I was probably DJing and out socialising, acting the maggot as well as any young guy does. And a young guy approached and, I'd love to work in your shop. It's so cool. And I had an Instagram. So if I go back to the Instagram, you can see how, because I haven't deleted any posts. So you really can see the story. There's 4,500 pictures. Yeah. I do it sometimes over a few Guinness. I get a bit nostalgic and go back. And I was like, well, why don't you come in on a Monday? And I goes, whatever you make, you keep, and then just give me, I don't know if it was a percentage or we seen how it went, but I remember making 50 quid off the first Monday. So I think I actually paid him 100 quid a day, and he took in 150 and goes, oh my God, I'm making money when I'm not in here. So that 50 quid then was probably another moment where I was like, whoa, I can do this. So I didn't plan to have more than one person. There was only one chair. And then it was like, he was full every Monday. And then we decided to expand to a second chair. Okay. And then 3 months later, we needed another chair. And then in probably about 12 months, we had to go back to the basement and do the whole basement and then have 4 chairs. Wow. 6 months later, we upgraded again to 6 chairs. And then it just was crazy. The Instagram, we were probably the right place, right time. And it was really cool. It was in a record shop.
And Sean, were you still reinvesting, all about
Always.
the business.
I was never as broke as I was when we went from I was making a lot of money just for myself upstairs, because I physically couldn't do any more haircuts, and I was turning away a lot of people, and people were actually getting annoyed.
Walk-ins, bookings, or what?
Both. We did both, but it was a notepad and pen. I just literally, like, how old school is that now? And a lot of places do it. So then I can't think when we got the booking system, but it must have been when we went downstairs. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we were the first or maybe the second in Ireland to ever do online bookings for a barbershop.
Wow.
So rightly so, we should be busy and popular. And then people were they didn't really like the idea of online booking. It was a bit like they turned their nose up at it. They're like, I'm not doing this. This is a salad. And I was like, we're fully booked for the next 2-3 weeks. Then a lot of the older business owners around where we started didn't like, because we were getting so much business. And some of them would blank me. Some of them would actually say bad things. They were giving, I didn't even realize, they were actually telling clients like bad things, like lies, they're not real barbers. This social media won't work. Like, how wrong were they?
Wow.
Most of the competitors at the time have been shut down and don't work anymore. And these were like 20, 30 years in business, but they didn't go with the times. So I was kind of hurt again. I felt it's a very lonely business. It's being a business owner, it's not. But I don't want to be friends with everyone, but it's nice to be professional and shake hands and how are you doing? And then, to go back to where I was talking about reinvesting, I was so broke. I remember being on my hands and knees. I was doing so much work. I was doing demolition. I was doing as much carpentry as I could. I remember packing my dad's car with carloads of rubbish to go up to, I think it's Ballyogan, or there's a skip place somewhere. I just remember being like physically, mentally exhausted, but motivated and reopening. I remember being on my hands and knees the night before, opening the basement when we went from 2 to 4 chairs. And like, I was still licking the skirting boards with paint. I was polishing the dust. And that happened continually till we went to shop 2, which was another massive jump. And then shop 3, and then I kind of had about a 5-year reign of just going and growing in social media massively, organically. A load of celebs came in. I hate the word influencer, but influencers. And just really good people coming in, and they know my journey from the start. And I think if you're honest in what you do, and, you know, I'm very humble, I think. I don't try and think of it as like it's a life-changing experience. People probably can see that their money is going where their money is going to me and to the staff, and they like to maybe invest in that brand. So I try and support local as much as possible. It's very rare you'd see me. It's actually, you'd never see me in Starbucks. The odd McDonald's, yes, but I try and support the independent places as much as I can. And I think people, because I'm very, not to waffle on, but because I'm very much the face of the brand, and it is my brand, but I'm on social media. They know my face. They can kind of see the journey, and I'm very honest in what I say. It's been a crap time. COVID hurt us. COVID was the worst thing to happen. But then we came back and opened the store in last year. In the middle of COVID, we opened up the 4th store, which is in Rathmines now, and Rathmines has done the best out of all of the shops in the shortest amount of time. Wow. So I think sharing the journey, being very honest in business has helped me, and long may it continue.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, it's fascinating, and thanks for being so honest. One thing I just really want to pick up on there, and I don't think enough people talk about it, and I noticed it when I started my own business, is I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think it was Tyson Fury's father, and he said people want to see you do well, but they don't want to see you do as well, better than them.
Yeah, I know it well.
And you just mentioned there, and I don't think it's talked about enough, I got a lot of hate when I set up my own business, and it was people going, who does he think he is? I had people, family, going, is he going to make money? What's he think he's doing? Should he not just be going and getting a job? Like, how can he do this? How can he get into fitness? And I even noticed more, I had to go outside Ireland for training at the time. Fitness wasn't where it was. It was like I was going to do courses in the UK. I was reaching out to coaches over there. Here, there was so much hesitation. Oh, I don't want to tell you anything about that in case you're thinking of taking my clients or an industry I'm getting into. Just, there is a nasty side to where other people don't want to see people do well. Just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like so I used to
Is it an Irish thing? Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit, isn't it?
Okay.
It's like Conor McGregor. I loved him at the start. Of course, he's a changed man now, and I'm not a fan really now, but I respect him. I don't know what it was. I think people like the rise, but they also like the fall of everyone. So, and I'm only after passing my provisional test today, so hopefully I'm not in court like McGregor for speeding anytime soon, but watch out on them roads. Yeah, like the guys I was going to for my haircut, I felt it very awkward to go in somewhere and not be nice to somebody. I thought I was part of this club. Oh, cool, congratulations, I wish you all the best. They only meant that up until I opened the shop. So it's funny, another reason for us that I think we're the biggest success story so far, and I hope somebody that works with Cut and Sew Art that did work for us goes on and does better. That's the mindset is quite different. I do want to motivate the staff, and I had such good bosses that they motivated me, and I wanted to work harder for them. That when these guys seen me as competition, their mindset was so wrong. So I only focus on my team and the four walls that I'm in, or if there's 4 shops, whatever. But I only focus on Cut and Sew Bubble. I don't even think about what the other shops or brands are doing, whether if they're across the road, next door, or above us. And these guys were so worried. And I think if you worry about somebody else's business, you're not worrying about the right things. And it kind of is tough for me to walk around town because Temple Bar, we're in the Mecca, there's a barber shop on every street. These are grown men who have multiple shops, some of them, and they blank you. And I can see them, they're angry at me, and their hatred towards us. They left us out of really important things. But I took that as I'm a very glass half full type of guy. We've made history in a lot of things, so I get motivation from someone else's hatred. And I think that's how people say I actually want to work with these guys. And I try and treat everybody quite fair. I've become performance based, but I'm very much hire people based off their personality, not their skill set. The same way I was. I go back to my DNA, and I'm like, they like my personality, so they could train me to cut hair or train me to do colouring. And it's the same with Cut and Sew. I hire people based off their personality, their likability. You know what I mean? Is it a them show, or is it like, you know, the us show? And I want everyone that comes into Cut and Sew, no matter what age, shape, race, sex, whatever you are, to kind of come in and feel a part of the umbrella. It's such an open space. I try and create a space where everybody feels welcome, and that's I don't know, the success story. So we don't focus on the haters and the old school guys, and we're still growing. So 9 years in business, we could have opened up way more shops, but I just don't want to dilute how special it is at the minute.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, and I want to jump into the brand and Cut and Sew in a sec now. But just one thing that's at the coming to me there is, it's funny what you say there. I think a lot of the times, whether someone's, maybe it's not even in business, they're not focusing on what they're doing themselves. And a prime example. Last week, a window cleaner knocked on my front door, okay? He's cleaned our windows before. The wife has used them. Another company came along.
Right.
3 people came, same price, they did it. They text, would you like to come next time? How would you like to pay? Revolut, would you like to book the next one? Just a bit of a smoother service, okay?
Right.
I hadn't any dealings with this. The door knocks. Window cleaner goes to me, how you doing? I was like, they're actually been here today. Another set of window cleaners. I said they've cleaned it. And he sat there and he's like, this is my business. Like, I don't think they're doing it full time. I have insurance on this. And I stood there going, your perspective is so wrong. If I wanted to set up a window cleaning business in the morning, I'd do it. And I'd knock on more doors than you. I'd have bloody knuckles from doing it, and I wouldn't be complaining about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it took me for a, and I think there's a bit of, I don't know if it's a pity me or it's the other guy, or I'm concentrating about the other person.
That's so funny. My friend of mine has a window cleaning company, and he's very self-motivated. Stephen is his name, and he's up early, and it's so funny. We have a bit of banter between us on WhatsApp, and funny enough, he tried to give me a ladder for free today. Not I'd any used to it, but just a nice guy. And he was like, he got a window cleaning leaflet through his door, and he goes, they don't know they've posted this into the enemy, like we were joking about something. And he was like, yeah, no, Bruce. And he goes, look at the prices, and he goes, they've showed me all their cards or whatever. And he was like, he has a receptionist, he has employees. He goes, he's a one-man band, but he's like, I'm so much hungrier than them. And he goes, I don't even look at their price. He goes, he's seen their price, but he goes, it's my price, and that's it, because he values what he does, and he's busy and all. But it's so funny that you said that about, he doesn't complain about anybody else. I don't complain about anyone else. Most of the guys that worked for us, even some of the other guys, it's tough to swallow. They now have become, if you want, I don't look at them like competition, but they now approach my current staff and try and undercut and give them more money, or it's so funny. It's
try and poach them. Basically.
Try and poach them. Yeah. It's not an approach I've done. I've never needed to do it. It's gotten really tough, and I just think by sticking to my guns, people know, and especially the listeners to this really want to get motivation from myself and yourself. That's not the attitude I choose, and we continue to grow without going to that nasty poaching side. People are saying it's just business. They have this mentality of like, it's only business, bro, and all this. I'm like, no, there's the right way to do it, I think, and it's the wrong way. And I don't know, I think I just focus on cut and sew solely, and that should make people want to work, under the brand or within it. And I look at us like, maybe not Man United now, I don't know, I don't follow football anymore, but whoever the top Premier League team is, and if you want to eventually become an owner of a club, you usually player, manager, owner, they can do that with cut and sew. I now do business coaching for our industry. I allow them to move up the ranks, and I promote them. They should come and want to do a stint with us for about 3 to 5 years. And if you're staying with us more than 5 years, I think you're in the wrong place. You need to jump after X amount of time. And I never stayed in a job longer than 5 years. I don't think it's healthy, apart from owning your own company.
Yeah. And Sean, talk to me. So, 1 location to 2 locations, that's obviously a big deal. And second, third, fourth, was it a long-term vision, or did you just said, I've got to keep the momentum going on this?
So there's a little element of,
because there's rents, there's leases, there's rates, there's everything.
There's staffing problems. COVID has really shaken up our industry with giving guys the platform to go self-employed, which is funny because I used to be a sole trader. I'm now an employee. I'm a director of obviously all 4 companies. But I found the sole trader thing just didn't work for me. It wasn't as beneficial. I prefer to be an employee of my company or companies. Where were we going? Sorry, with the question with. From what was the vision for?
Yeah,
like,
I suppose there a vision? No, was there a 5-year plan or
no? And it's only something that my head was kind of in the sand because we had it so good. It snowballed. The success snowballed. Sorry, from 1 to 2 to 3 for about 5 years, and then I got kind of stagnant. I think I was like doing really well. I always wanted to fly business class. I remember my first time flying business class, I felt so smug. I was like, what's this little glass of champagne? I was like, oh God, this is the ruination of me. So I got to that stage and I actually took my eyes off the prize, so to speak. And maybe like yourself, I'm very, very focused. I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not motivated. I kind of want to be the best in the room at what I do. What is that word? Competitive. So when I seen other guys coming, nobody was nearly close to us or even close to us. And then guys kind of left and went on, and it opened my mind. And they were so probably motivated by me or inspired that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it better. And then I was like, oh God, this is maybe 5 years into cutting. So they're actually doing a cooler brand than me. And it kind of scared me a bit. And then 1 or 2 guys were leaving. They go, I don't really want to work for cut and sew anymore. So I had to shake up the brand. So case in point of, it's really important to keep the brand identity cool and the message strong. Our logo has evolved over the years. We're not Nike or anything, but we have moved with the times, and it's important that I stay so focused on top of the brand because people will want to work for it. A lot of places, they don't invest in themselves. So as I did from the very start, I'll always improve. There's always works going on in cut and sew. Even in COVID, we upgraded 2 of our stores, spent a lot of money. We got artists to come in and do murals in the shop. We're trying to go and get the best fittings, use the best tradesmen, all local guys to try and improve the setting. And I think because we do that, and I document it very, very heavily on socials, people say, oh, this guy really does care about the experience. And the lads will know from coming into the shop, I see the shops from the customer's perspective. So, and I don't think, if there's a can of Coke left open or there's hair somewhere, something's not sterilised, I am just so focused at looking at all that side of things. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of what keeps us maybe what I think on top. And I don't know, it's
so important. I think I'm like a bit of a coffee snob, and I will drive out of my way to go to have an experience, even if it's 5-10 minutes. Just maybe it's the concrete on the floor, maybe it's the setting of the barista setup with the coffee machine, and it's just that. Where would
you plug for a good coffee?
It's probably one of my most favourite places in Dublin is a place called Love Supreme in Stony Batter. I don't know if you know it. It's a tiny little coffee shop, and I would go out of my way there for a flat white.
Nice.
And other than that, I love it. Give a plug to a drive-through coffee place called Through the Green in Dundrum.
I know. I've never been. It's too busy.
Yeah, it is too busy.
But now I'm on the roads. I'll have to kind of. I'll have to pull in and get a coffee there.
Make a space. But listen, I could go on for another hour with you, Sean. There's so much we haven't covered. There's probably a few questions here I'd just like to cover.
Of course.
When I mention the word success, what does that look like or mean to you?
Do you know, it's so funny? I'm kind of embarrassed because I kind of robbed this for you when I was doing a business talk on Monday. What does success like to you? And I used it in my own workshop. I think to me, it's like my time. So success to me is like from putting all the work in to my business over the years, to have free time now or to travel when I want. That to me is success. It's not the Range Rover, having a Rolex. It's having time so now I can travel where I want, when I want, with who I want. So success to me is I've worked so hard to create these, sources of income and revenue streams, or whatever you want to call it, that to me I can kind of go where I want, when I want, with who I want. And that's all success means to me. It doesn't mean multi-millions. They'll come eventually, no doubt, if I continue on this road. But success means to me is my time, so being able to do what I want, when I want, with who I want.
Brilliant. And I'm just going to touch back. I know I just jumped across it.
Yeah.
The brand Cut and Sew.
Yes.
Talk to us, like, if people don't know who you are, like, I see beer collaborations, I see clothing, I see hair products. Talk to me about just to give an idea.
I think because the brand is so strong, a lot of people start to approach us like we've done. We're the only one to do our own beer in Irish history with the White Hag. That wasn't a good idea. I think the staff were drinking more of it than the clients, and myself included. Then there was like White Claw, we're working with now, a great brand. We've done Puma. Lots of drinks companies seems to want to work with us. It goes in with that, but just the brand itself is just, I think it's a cool, honest brand, and we continue to grow and evolve. So I don't know. I just think it's very approachable. I don't know if that's the right word to say. I feel like the brand is cool and current, and it's, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one.
And Sean, do you see it? Do you see people when they go in to get a haircut? People's like, oh, they're just going to get a haircut, but like they're buying into the hat or the clothing, or they're.
Oh, sorry. So then real quickly for the name, like it's very important if you're creating a brand that you can make it. Like if it was Sean's barbershop and I wasn't there, people wouldn't really want to come in. So with a brand, it just sounded cool. I liked it, and it enabled me to grow. And then now I don't even really cut that much. It's very hard to get a cut myself. So it has enabled us to sell thousands of clothes all over. Like we continue to do the odd release of hats, which is funny because we're a barbershop, but hoodies, t-shirts, tote bags. I think we could be in Brown Thomas genuinely with some of our designs because we use designers that are reputable. And yeah, I think people just love it. They feel proud to wear it. It's something that when you see, I've gone to festivals and seen numerous people wearing it. I'm like, that was one of the another kind of moments where like, wow, that was kind of cool. So there's not many of these sneaky moments where you're like, oh my god, this guy feels this brand is cool enough to rock at like Electric Picnic or Longitude. If there's any tickets going there,
I love
plug
it,
that.
plug. Regrets. Another kind of similar question to success. Do you have regrets? How do you manage them, or what's your thoughts on it?
No, and it's funny, that was another segment in the business course we did. It was kind of like that kind of, by making these mistakes, I suppose, that's part of your DNA now as a business owner. So you kind of learn from them. So like, by not having shop insurance, the place got broken into, we were robbed twice.
Wow.
Then you upgrade your security system, you get, better cameras, blah, blah. So I don't have regrets. There's one or two, I've been screwed over more times than I'd like to think. But that's just part of it, you have to be kind of thick-skinned, I think, in business.
I think the first one's always the sorest. but you
the
learn
first,
so for me, I look back and it's
I've
the best
learned
thing
more
ever
than
happened
I've
to me.
lost.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cheesy little quote I write down. But I think that's true. I've learned more than I've lost. So not really, no. I mean, we're still growing, which is good. And that's all.
Brilliant. Is there a quote or the best piece of advice that always sticks with you?
Well, our kind of quote, or what I've done, is in each shop we try and have a bit of a message on the wall or in a neon. And the one that seems to resonate, and we did a clothing release, was dangerous when focused. So many people have come up to me. I did a talk for Jamie White at one of his events, and I wore the hoodie. And some people, I love this. Is this a clothing brand? And I only had one hoodie, but I just think I am pretty dangerous when I'm focused. And even my mom loves it. She's like, I want to get a hoodie like this. And I don't know, I just think stay true to yourself, because it will always shine through. Be honest, stay true to yourself. And I don't know, when you get focused, you can be very, very dangerous in the sense of like you can get so much shit done. So I tried that mindset of being dangerous when focused, to me just motivates me. Stick on the Rocky soundtrack, I can conquer the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So last couple here, if you could have a meal with 5 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Haven't thought about this at all. I'm okay. Well, probably. Who do I follow? David Beckham's a hero of mine. Probably Al Pacino, Bob Marley. I don't think I was going to say Gary V, but I think he'd be so annoying. He'd be just screaming at me, telling me to feckin' buy this and feckin' buy that.
He's that level at me at the moment.
Yeah, it's just a bit like, what's up, fucking bro? You got to do this. You got to NFT. And then probably my granddad deck, because I didn't really have a chat. My granddad passed away last year, and I'd like to kind of know him in his kind of prime. So I'd love to have, I think, my granddad deck just to be like, talk to me, like, you know what I mean? What's your story? So yeah, couple of inspiration, and then my granddad.
Brilliant. It's funny.
It's a really good question.
I've had 2 people that have said they want Adolf Hitler at the table.
Oh, can I take that? Yeah, I'll take Gary V back and have Hitler here, just because I'm fascinated with
Yeah,
World War
the
II
mind. I think
and
people
propaganda. What's his
where
buzz?
that mind came from. What's next? Two-part question.
Yep.
And just one more after this, I swear, and I'll let you go. 2-part question. What's next for Cut and Sew, and what's next for Sean?
Cut and Sew is probably one more store and a full-time academy. What's next for me is probably buy a house abroad and move out of the city centre. I'm done with that chapter of, I feel like I can move out, and I'm on to the next phase in my life now. So yeah, I'm an adult now, I think, at 35.
Brilliant.
Officially.
You've given us so much value there. Anything else? Book recommendations, podcasts, or anything that have helped you personally or business-wise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this podcast, Pat Divilly, the book that changed pretty much my last year or so to give me mad clarity on where I need to go and what I need to do, was Upgrade Your Life. It's in Easton's. His new book is out now called Fit Mind. I know, Pat, you know him quite well. Upgrade Your Life to me resonated with me, and then I'm going to read, I don't know, of any books of interest to you, like someone that you like I love the Andre Agassi book called Open.
I have it at home. I still haven't read it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, Chopo, gave me that. I still have it. Actually need to give it back. But
Did you see the Sky documentary?
Yes.
Is it Love Mean Nothing or something?
Love Means Zero.
Zero.
With the coach.
Wow,
Botticelli.
powerful. Yeah.
And the Will Smith movie, which is very relevant now, which is out now, is interesting because Botticelli's mentioned in it. But yes, so Love Means Zero is the documentary, great. But the book Open is brilliant, and Pat Divilly's Upgrade Your Life is incredible.
And last one, is there any apps on your phone you'd recommend that, like, this and it's helped me or it's productive or whatever?
Do you know what? Shazam is probably my favourite because I'm a big music lover, and you're sitting there in a restaurant like, I'm definitely going to forget this. So Shazam is my favourite, but Instagram is obviously for business. But yeah, Shazam.
And brilliant. Where can people stay connected with yourself and the brand?
So Instagram is obviously Cut and Sew Dublin. We do a little bit of Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, but my personal is It's Shawnee B, baby, which is, you get a bit more behind the scenes and a bit more of the funny side of me, I suppose. A lot of motivational stuff as well.
Brilliant. Sean, listen, that has flown by. I'm sure we could spend all day here, but thank you so much for jumping on. I much appreciate it.
Not at all. My pleasure. Thank you, Tom.
Cheers, Sean.